The millionaire said, "I can't introduce a nanny as my fiancé, so I froze our joint account." Sofia Delgado was 26 years old, born in San Antonio to hardworking Latino immigrants who raised her to be proud, loyal, and unshakably strong, even in a world that refused to see her. With classic beauty and a tender heart, she made her way to Los Angeles, where she worked as a nanny for the wealthy, always in the background, always underestimated. Until she met Ethan Whitmore, a charming millionaire, freshly divorced and father of 2. He saw something in Sofia no one else had, or so she thought. What began as admiration grew into a secret romance. Ethan spoke of marriage, of forever, of a life where Sofia would never have to struggle again. He even opened a joint account and told her, "You'll never have to worry again." But the moment public appearances mattered, the truth came out. The night before a major charity gala, Sofia overheard him laughing with friends. "I can't introduce a nanny as my fiancé." Her heart shattered, not in weakness, but in awakening. She didn't yell, she didn't cry. She walked to the bank, and she froze the account. With a single action, Sofia flipped the script. Because when a woman gives everything and is discarded for appearances, she doesn't seek revenge with chaos. She strikes with calm precision. Follow the channel to watch Sofia's story unfold. This is just the beginning. Her revenge isn't loud, but it's unforgettable. New episodes coming soon. Chapter 1. The Woman Behind the Smile. The morning sun filtered through the floor-to-ceiling windows of the Whitmore mansion in Bel Air, casting long shadows across the Italian marble floors. Sofia moved through the kitchen with practiced efficiency, her dark hair tied back in a neat bun, her movements economical yet graceful as she prepared breakfast for the children. At 26, she carried herself with a quiet dignity that seemed almost anachronistic in the glossy, superficial world of Los Angeles. Her amber eyes, framed by thick lashes, revealed intelligence that most of her employers never bothered to notice. The daughter of Mexican immigrants who had settled in San Antonio, she'd been raised on her mother's fierce pride and her father's unwavering work ethic. "Miss Sofia, Miss Sofia!" 7-year-old Emma Whitmore bounded into the kitchen, her blonde curls bouncing, still in her unicorn pajamas. "Can we have chocolate chip pancakes, please?" Sofia smiled, the kind of smile that transformed her face from merely pretty to breathtaking. "Good morning, sunshine. What about the blueberry ones you loved yesterday?" "But Daddy said it's special occasion day." Emma's younger brother, Noah, appeared in the doorway, clutching his favorite stuffed dinosaur. Sofia raised an eyebrow. "Special occasion? What's happening today?" "Daddy's coming home early. He promised to take us to the beach." Emma twirled, her excitement palpable. Sofia felt a flutter in her stomach at the mention of Ethan. 6 months as the Whitmore children's nanny, and still the thought of their father made her pulse quicken. She turned to the refrigerator, hoping the children wouldn't notice the blush creeping across her cheeks. "Well then, chocolate chip pancakes it is," she conceded, reaching for the ingredients. The sound of the front door opening echoed through the house, followed by Ethan Whitmore's distinctive voice. "Where are my favorite people in the world?" The children squealed, abandoning Sofia to race toward their father. She took a breath, steadying herself before following them at a more measured pace. Ethan Whitmore stood in the grand foyer, his 6'2" frame impeccably dressed in a tailored charcoal suit despite the early hour. At 38, he carried the confidence of a man who'd built his tech empire from nothing, his success evident in every aspect of his bearing. His sandy blonde hair was styled perfectly, and when he looked up and caught Sofia's eye, his blue gaze was electric. "Sofia," he said, his voice softening in a way that was barely perceptible. "Good morning, Mr. Whitmore," she replied, formally, aware of the housekeeper passing through the hallway. "The children mentioned you're taking them to the beach today. Change of plans, I'm afraid. I have to go to New York tonight for a big meeting. But," he added quickly, seeing their faces fall, "I thought we could have breakfast together, and maybe Sophia could take you to the beach instead?" Sophia maintained her professional expression, though something inside her dimmed. This wasn't the first time Ethan had changed plans last minute. The children, accustomed to their father's unpredictable schedule, recovered quickly. "Can we still have chocolate chip pancakes?" Noah asked, his big blue eyes, so like his father's, looking up at Sophia. "Of course," she assured him, ruffling his hair gently. "Sophia," Ethan called as she turned to go back to the kitchen, "could you join me in my office after breakfast? There are some scheduling matters we should discuss." She nodded, ignoring the knowing look from Mrs. Reynolds, the housekeeper who'd been with the Whitmore family since before Ethan's divorce 2 years ago. In the kitchen, as Sophia mixed pancake batter and listened to Emma and Noah chatter about their beach plans, she wondered what Ethan really wanted to discuss. Their scheduling meetings had evolved over the past 2 months, from professional conversations to lingering glances to an accidental touch that hadn't felt accidental at all. Breakfast passed in a blur of children's laughter and Ethan's charismatic stories. When the children ran upstairs to get ready for their beach outing, Sophia began clearing the table. "Leave that," he said, his voice closer than she expected. She turned to find him standing directly behind her, close enough that she could smell his expensive cologne. Sophia nodded, following him toward his home office, her heart hammering against her ribs. The hallway seemed longer than usual, the silence between them charged with unspoken words. Inside the office, Ethan closed the door. For a moment, he simply looked at her, his expression unreadable. "Sophia," he finally said, stepping closer, "I've been thinking about you." She swallowed, her throat suddenly dry. "Mr. Whitmore?" "Ethan," he corrected softly. "When we're alone, please, call me Ethan." "Ethan," she amended, the name feeling intimate on her tongue. "The children are waiting." "I know," he interrupted, reaching out to tuck a stray strand of hair behind her ear. His fingers lingered against her cheek. "But I needed to see you, to tell you something." Sophia remained still, caught between professional propriety and the undeniable current that had been building between them. "I've never met anyone like you," Ethan continued, his voice low. "The way you are with my children, your kindness, your intelligence, I find myself thinking about you constantly." "This isn't appropriate," Sophia whispered, though she made no move to step away. "I know," he agreed, his eyes never leaving hers. "But I can't help how I feel. And I hope, you might feel something too." The moment hung between them, fragile and weighted with possibility. Sophia knew she should leave, maintain the professional boundary that separated employer from employee. But there was something in Ethan's eyes, a vulnerability beneath the confident exterior that reached past her defenses. "I do," she admitted, the words barely audible. His smile was slow, transforming his handsome face. "Have dinner with me tonight, not as my children's nanny, but as yourself, as Sophia." Before she could respond, Emma's voice called from upstairs, breaking the spell. "Miss Sophia, I can't find my yellow bathing suit." Sophia stepped back, reality rushing in. "I should go help them." Ethan nodded, though reluctance was clear in his expression. "Tonight," he said. 8 o'clock. I'll have my driver pick you up." As Sophia hurried upstairs to help Emma, her mind raced. This was dangerous territory. She knew the stories, nannies who fell for their wealthy employers, only to be discarded when convenient. She'd promised herself she wouldn't become a cliché. Yet there was something about Ethan that seemed genuine, something that made her wonder if perhaps their story could be different. That evening, as Sophia carefully applied her makeup in her modest apartment in Echo Park, she stared at her reflection, questioning her decision. Her mother's voice echoed in her mind.
Mantén tu dignidad siempre, mija. Tu valor no depende de nadie más. Keep your dignity always, daughter. Your worth doesn't depend on anyone else.
Sofia squared her shoulders. She would go to dinner, but with her eyes wide open. She was not naive, despite what Ethan might think. She was Sofia Delgado, daughter of Maria and Carlos, who had crossed borders and overcome prejudice to give her a better life. She would not forget who she was or where she came from, no matter how intoxicating Ethan Whitmore's attention might be. As she stepped into the sleek black car that arrived precisely at 8, Sofia made a promise to herself. She would protect her heart. After all, in the glittering world of Los Angeles, nothing was ever quite what it seemed. If you're invested in Sofia's journey and want to see how she navigates this complicated relationship with Ethan Whitmore, make sure to subscribe to our channel. Hit that subscribe button right now to be notified when Chapter 2 drops, where you'll discover what happens during their first real date and the moment Sofia begins to see behind Ethan's perfect facade. Don't miss the next part of this emotional, powerful story about dignity, love, and knowing your true worth. Chapter 2. Promises Written in Water. 3 months passed like a dream, or perhaps more accurately, like a carefully choreographed dance. Sofia and Ethan moved between their public roles as employer and employee and their private relationship with practiced discretion. During the day, it was Mr. Whitmore and Miss Delgado in front of the children, the housekeeper, and Ethan's business associates. At night, in the privacy of expensive hotel suites or secluded restaurants in towns just outside Los Angeles, they were simply Ethan and Sofia. On a warm Friday evening in September, Sofia sat across from Ethan at an exclusive restaurant overlooking the Pacific Ocean. The sunset painted the sky in spectacular shades of orange and pink, but Sofia barely noticed, too focused on the man before her. "You seem distracted tonight," she observed, taking a sip of her champagne. The bubbles tingled against her tongue, still a novelty despite what frequency with which Ethan ordered the expensive vintage. Ethan smiled, though it didn't quite reach his eyes. "Just thinking about how much has changed since that first dinner." Sofia tilted her head, studying him. She'd learned to read his moods, to notice the slight tension in his jaw when he was stressed about work, the way his fingers drummed against any available surface when he was hiding something. "Good changes?" she prompted. "The best," he replied, reaching across the table to take her hand. His thumb traced circles on her palm, an intimate gesture that still sent shivers up her spine. "I never expected to feel this way again after Carolyn left." The mention of his ex-wife hung briefly in the air between them. Carolyn Whitmore, born to old money and social connections, had left Ethan and their children for a French filmmaker 2 years ago. The divorce had been messy, public, and, according to Ethan, the lowest point of his life. "Sofia," Ethan continued, something new in his voice drawing her full attention. "There's something I want to discuss with you." Her heart stuttered, though she kept her expression composed. "Yes?" He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. Sofia's breath caught in her throat. "It's not what you think," he said quickly, a hint of amusement in his eyes as he registered her expression. "Not yet, anyway." He opened the box, revealing not a ring, but a key. "What is this?" Sofia asked, confused. "It's a key to the beach house in Malibu," Ethan explained. "I want you to have it. I want you to consider it your space too." Sofia stared at the key, emotions conflicting within her. It was a significant gesture, yet somehow less than what her racing heart had anticipated for a brief, wild moment. "Ethan, I don't know what to say. The children will adore having you there more often," he finished for her. "They love you, Sofia, almost as much as I do." The words hung between them, the first time either had spoken of love. Sofia looked up, meeting his gaze, searching for the truth in those blue eyes. "Do you mean that?" she asked quietly. Instead of answering directly, Ethan signaled to the waiter. "Bring the document, please."
The waiter returned moments later with an envelope, which he handed to Ethan with a deferential nod. "What is this?" Sofia asked, wariness creeping into her tone. Ethan slid the envelope across the table. "Open it." With careful fingers, Sofia extracted the contents, legal papers that she didn't immediately understand, and a bank card with her name embossed on it. "I've set up a joint account, and those papers outline a trust I've established for you." Sofia's mind raced, trying to process what this meant. "Ethan, I don't need your money." He reached across the table, taking both her hands in his. "I know you don't. That's one of the things I love about you. But I want to take care of you, Sofia. I want to know that you'll never have to worry again." "Is this because I'm your employee? Because if so—" "No," he interrupted firmly. "This is because I see a future with you. A real future, Sofia. Not as my children's nanny, but as my partner." The word partner echoed in her mind. Not wife, not even fiancé. "What exactly are you asking me, Ethan?" Sofia questioned, needing clarity. He smiled, that charismatic, confident smile that had first captivated her. "I'm asking you to trust me, to let me bring you into my world completely. And what does that mean for my job, for how we tell the children, your family, your friends?" A flicker of something, hesitation, concern, crossed his face before he masked it. "We'll figure those details out together, one step at a time." Sofia glanced down at the bank card, her name gleaming under the restaurant's subtle lighting. A part of her, the part raised on her parents' warnings about self-reliance and dignity, urged caution. Another part, the part that had fallen deeply in love with not just Ethan, but his children, wanted desperately to believe in the promise of his words. "I don't know, Ethan. This is a lot to process."
Then process it, he said gently. Take the key. Use the card. Let me show you what our life could be like together. Later that night, in the lavish hotel suite Ethan had booked, Sofia lay awake beside his sleeping form. The key and bank card sat on the nightstand, twin symbols of a threshold she wasn't sure she was ready to cross. Her phone vibrated with a text message. It was from Carmen, her closest friend since childhood, who'd moved to Los Angeles around the same time Sofia had. "How's the fancy date? Has Prince Charming proposed yet?" Sofia stared at the message, unsure how to respond. Instead of typing, she called, slipping quietly onto the suite's balcony. "Dios mío, you're calling at 1 a.m. He did propose," Carmen exclaimed when she answered. "No," Sofia corrected softly, looking out at the city lights spread below. "Not exactly." She explained the key, the joint account, the vague promises of a future together. Carmen was silent for a long moment. "Sofia, what does your gut tell you?" I sighed, the question crystallizing the unease she'd been feeling. That he's offering me everything, except the one thing that would make this relationship real in the eyes of his world. Which is what? Acknowledgement. Public acknowledgement. Sofia's throat tightened. He's never once introduced me to any of his friends or family. When we go out, it's always to places where no one knows him. "Mija," she said softly, using the endearment Sofia's mother favored. "You deserve someone who is proud to have you on their arm, not someone who keeps you in the shadows." The truth of her friend's words stung. "I love him, Carmen. And the children. God, I love them like they're my own." "I know you do, but ask yourself this. Does he love you enough to stand beside you in the light?" After hanging up, Sofia returned to the bedroom, watching Ethan's peaceful sleeping face. He was beautiful, this man who had captured my heart, successful, intelligent, and when they were alone, attentive and loving. Yet Carmen's question echoed in my mind.
The following week passed in a blur of normal routines. Sofia cared for Emma and Noah, prepared their meals, helped with homework, and maintained the professional distance required during the daylight hours. But at night, when the children were asleep and Mrs. Reynolds had retired to her quarters, she would slip into Ethan's master suite, where their relationship transformed into something passionate and intimate. On Friday morning, Sofia was helping Noah with his breakfast when Ethan entered the kitchen, already dressed in one of his impeccable suits. "Good morning, family," he said cheerfully, dropping a kiss on each child's head before meeting Sofia's eyes with a private smile. The word family warmed her, even as she maintained her professional demeanor. "Good morning, Mr. Whitmore. Coffee?" "Please," he replied, accepting the mug she offered. Their fingers brushed, a deliberate touch that sent a familiar thrill through her. "I have news," he announced to the children. "The Pearson Foundation Gala is tomorrow night, and I've decided to attend."
Emma looked up from her cereal. "Is that the fancy party where people wear princess dresses?" Ethan chuckled. "Something like that, sweetheart." "Can Sofia come?" Noah asked innocently. "She would look pretty in a princess dress." A momentary tension flickered across Ethan's features before he smiled at his son. "Sofia will be here taking care of you two while I'm at the boring grown-up party." Sofia kept her expression neutral, though the casual dismissal stung more than it should have. She'd known about the gala for weeks. It was one of the most prestigious charity events in Los Angeles, attended by the city's elite. She'd even helped Ethan's assistant coordinate his tuxedo fitting. Later that day, while the children were at school, Sofia used the key Ethan had given her to enter the beach house in Malibu. She'd finally accepted it, though she'd used it only a few times, usually at Ethan's explicit invitation. The house was magnificent, a modern architectural marvel of glass and steel perched on the cliffs overlooking the ocean. Sofia moved through the space, running her fingers along the expensive furniture, looking at the art on the walls. None of it felt like her, yet Ethan had insisted this could be her home too. She made her way to the master bedroom, where floor-to-ceiling windows framed the Pacific like a living painting. Opening the closet, she found several outfits Ethan had purchased for her. Designer dresses, cashmere sweaters, things far more expensive than she would ever buy for herself. And then, in the corner, a garment bag she hadn't noticed before. Curious, she unzipped it, revealing a stunning evening gown in deep emerald green. A small card was pinned to the fabric. "For when you're ready to step into my world completely, E." Sofia stared at the dress, emotions warring within her. Was this an invitation to the gala? A promise for some future event? The ambiguity was maddening. Her phone rang. The school, informing her that Emma wasn't feeling well and needed to be picked up. Reality rushed back in. Whatever her relationship with Ethan was becoming, she was still, officially, the nanny. That evening, after ensuring Emma was comfortable with just a mild fever, Sofia prepared dinner for the children. Ethan had texted that he would be late, caught in meetings downtown. As she chopped vegetables for a soup, Sofia's mind drifted to the emerald dress hanging in the beach house closet. Perhaps she should simply ask Ethan directly about his intentions, about the gala, about their future. The sound of the front door opening announced Ethan's arrival. Soon, he appeared in the kitchen doorway, looking tired but pleased to see her. "How's our patient?" he asked, loosening his tie. "Resting, her fever's down," Sofia replied, setting down her knife. "Ethan, can we talk?" Something in her tone made him pause. "Of course, what's on your mind?" "I found the dress at the beach house." Understanding dawned in his eyes, followed by a soft smile. "Ah, do you like it?" "It's beautiful," she acknowledged, "but I'm confused about what it means." Ethan moved closer, resting his hands on her waist. "It means I want you to have beautiful things worthy of you." "Is it for the gala?"
Sofia asked directly, watching his reaction carefully. A slight hesitation. Sofia, the gala is complicated. It's a business event, essentially, full of investors and competitors and media. And I'm your children's nanny, she finished for him, stepping back from his touch. That's not what I meant, he protested, reaching for her again. Then what did you mean, Ethan? Because it seems like you want me in your life, but only in certain compartmentalized ways. His expression hardened slightly. That's not fair. I've given you access to my home, to my children. I've set up financial security for you. But you won't be seen with me publicly, Sofia challenged, her voice steady despite the hurt building in her chest. That's not... He stopped, running a hand through his hair in frustration. It's not that simple, Sofia. My life is under constant scrutiny. The divorce from Caroline was a media circus. I'm trying to protect us, to protect what we have. By keeping me hidden? By being strategic. There's timing to consider, perceptions to manage. Sofia shook her head, a cold clarity descending. I think I understand perfectly. Sofia! The sound of Emma calling from upstairs interrupted whatever Ethan had been about to say. Sofia stepped around him. Your daughter needs me. That is, after all, why I'm here. The distance between them felt suddenly vast, filled with unspoken words and realities neither wanted to face. The following evening, Sofia found herself alone with the children, helping them build a fort in the living room, while Ethan prepared for the gala in his suite. When he emerged, the sight of him in his tuxedo stole her breath despite her lingering hurt. What do you think? He asked, arms outstretched, smiling at the children's enthusiastic approval. You look like James Bond, Daddy, Noah declared. Ethan laughed, ruffling his son's hair before his eyes found Sofia's. And what's your verdict, Ms. Delgado? The formality of the address wasn't lost on her. Very handsome, Mr. Whitmore, she replied, matching his tone. A flash of regret crossed his features. Sofia. Your car is waiting, sir, Mrs. Reynolds announced from the doorway, her expression revealing nothing about what she might have observed between them. We'll talk when I get back, Ethan said quietly to Sofia as he passed, his fingers briefly squeezing hers. Hours later, after the children were asleep, Sofia found herself restless. She wandered through the quiet house, eventually ending up in Ethan's office. She rarely entered this space, respecting it as his private domain. Tonight, though, something drew her in, perhaps a desire to understand the parts of him he kept separate from her.
The office was immaculate, like everything in Ethan's life. His desk, a massive slab of polished walnut, dominated the room. Behind it, glass-fronted cabinets displayed awards and recognition from his industry. Photos lined one wall. Ethan with celebrities, with politicians, with business leaders. Sofia studied them, noting that in every image, Ethan appeared confident, at ease in the world of power and privilege, a world he had yet to invite her into. Her attention was caught by his desk phone, its message light blinking. Without consciously deciding to, Sofia pressed the playback button. Ethan, it's Richard. Just confirming you're bringing Melissa Baker tomorrow night. Her father's foundation is crucial for the expansion deal, so make sure you're your usual charming self. See you at the gala. The message ended, leaving Sofia frozen in place. Melissa Baker, the daughter of a business magnate Ethan had mentioned several times. The expansion deal, the Asian market venture Ethan had been working toward for months. The pieces clicked into horrible place. Not only was Ethan attending the gala without her, but he was escorting another woman, a woman with the connections he needed for his business ambitions. Sofia sank into Ethan's chair, the betrayal washing over her in waves. All his talk of a future together, of bringing her into his world completely, felt hollow now. Her phone buzzed with a text from Ethan. Missing you tonight.
Save a dance for me when I get home? Sofia stared at the message, unable to formulate a response. Instead, she found herself opening the banking app on her phone, looking at the joint account Ethan had set up. A considerable sum sat there, more money than she had ever had access to in her life. "You'll never have to worry again," he had promised. But as Sofia sat in the dark office, surrounded by evidence of Ethan's public life, a life that apparently had no place for her, she found herself worrying about something far more fundamental than financial security. She was worrying about her dignity, her self-respect, and whether she had compromised both for a man who, when it truly mattered, was ashamed to stand beside her in the light. Chapter 3. Dignity in the Face of Betrayal. The grandfather clock in the hallway chimed midnight as Sofia heard Ethan's door open. She remained in Ethan's office chair, the room dark except for the soft glow of his desk lamp. She had spent the last 2 hours in a strange state of calm, thinking about her mother's hands, how they had remained elegant and strong despite years of cleaning other people's homes, how her father had walked with his head high, even when people spoke slowly to him, assuming his accent meant he couldn't understand. The sound of Ethan's footsteps approached the office. He paused in the doorway, surprise evident on his face. "Sofia, what are you doing sitting in the dark?" She looked up at him, taking in his slightly loosened bow tie, the lingering flush of champagne on his cheeks. He was beautiful, this man who had made her believe in second chances.
"How was the gala?" she asked, her voice steady. Ethan stepped into the office, removing his jacket and draping it over a chair. "Boring, full of the usual posturing and networking." He moved toward her, leaning down to kiss her, but Sofia turned her face away. He straightened, studying her. "What's wrong?" Was Melissa Baker as charming as her father had hoped? The color drained from Ethan's face. "Sofia, I heard the message, Ethan." She gestured to the phone. "Richard seemed quite pleased with your arrangement." Ethan's expression hardened slightly. "You were going through my messages?" "Don't," Sofia said, rising from the chair. "Don't try to make this about my behavior when you escorted another woman to an event while texting me that you missed me." He ran a hand through his hair, a gesture she'd once found endearing. Now it seemed calculated, buying time to formulate his defense. "It wasn't like that," he finally said. "Melissa's father is crucial for the Asia expansion. It was a business decision, nothing more." "A business decision," Sofia repeated. "Like our relationship, another strategic move?" "That's not fair," Ethan protested, reaching for her. She stepped back. "Sofia, you know how I feel about you." "Do I?" she challenged. "Because from where I stand, it seems like you want the comfort and passion of a relationship without any of the public commitment." "I've committed to you in ways that matter. The account, the key to the beach house." "Things," Sofia interrupted, her voice rising slightly before she controlled it, mindful of the sleeping children. "You've given me things, Ethan. But you've never given me a place in your life, your real life." Frustration crossed his features. "What do you want from me, Sofia? A ring? Some grand public declaration?" "I want to know why you're ashamed of me." The words hung between them, raw and exposing a truth neither had fully acknowledged. He moved to his bar cart, pouring himself a measure of scotch. The practiced casualness of the gesture struck Sofia as profoundly revealing. This was how he handled uncomfortable confrontations, with distance and control. "It's complicated," he finally said, taking a sip. "My world has expectations, protocols. I'm well aware of how your world views someone like me.
Sofia cut in, her voice cold. The help. The immigrant. The nanny.
Isn't it? She stepped closer, refusing to be diminished. Then tell me, Ethan, tell me why, after 3 months of claiming to love me, of talking about our future together, you still can't be seen with me publicly. He set down his glass with more force than necessary. Fine. You want the truth? The truth is that my business, my position, depends on certain alliances, on maintaining a specific image. The board is already nervous about expansion after the divorce scandal with Caroline. If I suddenly appear with my children's nanny on my arm? There it is, Sofia said quietly, a strange relief washing over her at finally hearing the unvarnished truth. I'm a liability. I didn't say that. You didn't have to. Sofia moved toward the door, needing space, air that wasn't filled with his cologne and excuses. Ethan caught her arm. Sofia, wait. I'm handling this poorly. What I feel for you is real. I just need time to manage the optics. The optics? She repeated, gently removing his hand from her arm. Do you hear yourself? Before he could respond, voices drifted in from the hallway. Richard, the business partner from the phone message, and another man Sofia didn't recognize. Just need to grab those investment prospectuses from my office. Ethan called out, tension evident in his voice. Be right with you. He turned back to Sofia, his expression urgent. We'll finish this conversation later. Please, just go upstairs for now. The request to hide, yet again, crystallized everything for Sofia. Without a word, she walked past him toward the door. Sofia, he hissed, panic edging into his tone. Please. She paused at the threshold, looking back at the man she had foolishly believed, saw her as an equal. Don't worry, Ethan. I wouldn't embarrass you by introducing myself as your fiancée. After all, I'm just the nanny. With that, she stepped into the hallway, coming face to face with Richard and the other man Sofia didn't recognize. Both looked momentarily startled at her appearance. Gentlemen, Mr. Whitmore is in his office. If you'll excuse me, I need to check on the children. She felt his gaze burning into her back as she walked away, head high, spine straight. In the guest suite that had become her room whenever she stayed overnight, Sofia sat on the edge of the bed, her mind remarkably clear. 3 months of passionate promises, whispered plans for the future, professions of love, all undermined by the fundamental truth that Ethan Whitmore was ashamed to claim her publicly. Her phone buzzed with a text from him. They're gone. We need to talk. She didn't respond. Instead, she opened the banking app, staring at the joint account that had once seemed evidence of his commitment. Now it felt like compensation, a way to buy her silence and compliance. The balance was substantial, more than she would earn in 5 years as a nanny. Money that could change her life, give her options she'd never had before. Money that, legally, was half hers. A knock at her door interrupted her thoughts. Sofia, Ethan's voice called softly, please open the door. After a moment's hesitation, she did, facing him with a composure that seemed to take him aback. Can I come in? He asked. She stepped aside, allowing him into the space that had never felt like hers, despite the expensive linens and tasteful decor he'd selected. Ethan ran a hand through his already disheveled hair. I handled that badly downstairs. I'm sorry. Sofia remained silent, watching him. You have to understand, my position is complicated. The business is at a critical juncture with this Asia deal. Any hint of instability or scandal could derail everything I've worked for. And I would be a scandal, Sofia stated, not a question. Ethan hesitated, then sighed. The optics would be challenging. My ex-wife is from a prominent family, transitioning so quickly to a relationship with your employee, someone who cleans up after your children and makes their meals. That's not how I see you, he protested. But it's how your world would see me, and that matters more to you than what we supposedly have together. Frustration crossed his features. Why are you pushing this? We have something good, Sofia.
something real. Why isn't that enough? The question hung between them, so revealing in its simplicity. For Ethan, their private relationship was enough. The emotional connection, the physical intimacy, all safely contained within the walls of his homes, away from judging eyes. Because I deserve more than to be your secret. I deserve someone who is proud to stand beside me regardless of what anyone thinks. Ethan moved closer, taking her hands in his. I am proud of you, and I'm asking you to be patient. Once the Asia deal is secured, once my position is stronger, things will be different. We can be more open. Sofia gently extracted her hands from his. And until then, I continue to be your nanny by day and your lover by night. I pretend not to mind when you escort other women to events I'm not allowed to attend. It won't be forever, he insisted, just a matter of months. And what about Emma and Noah? How do we explain to them that their nanny is suddenly something more? He sighed, sitting heavily on the edge of the bed. I've thought about that. Maybe you could stop being their nanny first. Take a position with my foundation instead. After a suitable transition period, we could begin appearing together publicly. The calculated nature of his proposal struck Sofia like a physical blow. This wasn't love's impulsivity or passion's recklessness. This was strategic planning and image management. I need some time to think, she said finally. Ethan nodded, relief evident in his expression. He reached for her again, but she stepped back. Alone, Ethan. I need time alone. After he left, Sofia lay awake for hours staring at the ceiling. By dawn, she had made her decision. The next morning, she went about her duties as normal, preparing breakfast for the children, helping them with weekend homework, maintaining the professional demeanor expected of the household staff. If Mrs. Reynolds noticed the tension between Sofia and Ethan, she gave no indication. In the afternoon, when Ethan took the children to visit his mother, an outing to which Sofia had never been invited, she made her move. First, she called Carmen. I need your help, she said simply when her friend answered. Anything, Carmen replied without hesitation. An hour later, Sofia's few personal belongings were packed in Carmen's car. She left the designer clothes Ethan had purchased, the expensive jewelry he'd gifted her. She kept only what she had bought with her own earnings, what belonged irrefutably to Sofia Delgado. Before leaving, she wrote 2 letters. The first to Emma and Noah, explaining that she had to go away for a while, but that she loved them very much. The second was for Ethan, shorter and far less emotional. With those tasks complete, Sofia made one final stop, at her bank. The teller greeted her with a professional smile. How can I help you today, Ms. Delgado? I need to freeze a joint account, Sofia stated calmly. The teller's eyebrows rose slightly. Freeze, not close? That's correct, Sofia confirmed. I don't want any withdrawals or transfers made from the account until further notice. As she signed the necessary paperwork, Sofia felt a strange sense of peace. She wasn't taking Ethan's money. Not a penny would move to her personal account, but neither would she allow him to use financial security as a substitute for respect. 3 days later, Sofia sat in a small cafe in Echo Park, her laptop open to job listings for positions that would utilize her degree in early childhood education. Her phone, which had been buzzing constantly with calls and messages from Ethan, finally fell silent. Then the cafe door opened, and Ethan Whitmore walked in. He spotted her immediately, his normally impeccable appearance showing signs of strain. Stubble shadowed his jaw, and dark circles underlined his eyes. He approached her table, drawing curious glances from other patrons. You froze our account, he said without preamble, sliding into the chair across from her. Sofia closed her laptop. Yes. Why? Because you needed to understand that I can't be bought, Ethan. My dignity isn't for sale. He flinched at her words. That wasn't what I was trying to do. Wasn't it? Sofia challenged quietly. You offered me financial security instead of respect, access to your homes, but not your life. Ethan leaned forward, lowering his voice. I've been going crazy looking for you. The children are devastated. Noah cried himself to sleep last night.
The mention of the children sent a sharp pain through Sofia's heart, but she steeled herself. I left them a letter. I hope you gave it to them. Of course I did, he replied, a flash of anger in his eyes. But a letter isn't the same as having you there. I know, Sofia acknowledged, the pain evident in her voice. And leaving them was the hardest part of all this. But I couldn't stay, Ethan, not under those conditions. So you just disappeared and froze our account. I needed to get your attention, Sofia said simply, to make you understand that this isn't about money for me. It never was. Ethan ran a hand through his hair, that familiar gesture now tinged with genuine distress rather than calculation. What do you want from me, Sofia? Just tell me. I want what I've always wanted, to be with someone who values me enough to claim me publicly, who isn't ashamed of where I come from or what I do for a living. I'm not, he began, then stopped, seeming to finally hear her words. He was quiet for a long moment. I messed up, he finally admitted. I convinced myself I was protecting us both, but the truth is, I was protecting my image, my business interests. Yes, Sofia agreed. No triumph in her voice, only sadness. You were. The account, Ethan said after another pause. I never meant it as compensation. I wanted to share everything with you. Everything except your public life, Sofia corrected, gently. He nodded slowly, acceptance finally dawning in his eyes. I don't know how to fix this. Neither do I, Sofia admitted, but I know I can't go back to being your secret. They sat in silence, the finality of the moment settling between them. After everything, the passion, the promises, the glimpses of what might have been, they had reached an impasse that neither knew how to bridge. The children, Ethan finally said, they miss you terribly. Sofia's composure cracked slightly. I miss them too, more than I can say. Would you consider coming back, just as their nanny, if nothing else? They need you. The offer hung between them, a compromise that would allow her to remain in the children's lives, but at the cost of watching Ethan move on, perhaps with someone from his own world, someone he wouldn't be ashamed to acknowledge. I can't, Sofia said, her voice barely above a whisper. It would break my heart every day. Ethan nodded, understanding in his eyes despite the disappointment. He reached across the table, hesitating, before placing his hand over hers. I'm sorry, Sofia. I truly am. I know, she replied, allowing this final contact between them. When he left the cafe, Sofia remained, watching through the window as Ethan Whitmore returned to his world, a world that had never made room for her. 6 months later, Sofia stood in the courtyard of the preschool where she now served as assistant director. The position utilized her degree and experience, offering her not just financial stability, but professional respect. A familiar black SUV pulled up at the curb. Sofia's heart stuttered as Emma and Noah tumbled out, followed by Ethan. The children spotted her immediately, racing across the courtyard to throw themselves into her arms. Miss Sofia! Miss Sofia! They cried in unison, their enthusiasm unchanged despite the months apart. Sofia hugged them tightly, tears pricking at her eyes. Look at you two! You've grown so much! Over their heads, her eyes met Ethan's. He approached slowly, uncertainty in his expression. Thank you for agreeing to see them, he said. Sofia nodded, releasing the children, who immediately began talking over each other, eager to share every detail of their lives since she'd left. Emma, Noah, Ethan interrupted gently. Why don't you go explore the playground for a few minutes while I talk to Miss Sophia?" Once the children were out of earshot, an awkward silence fell between the adults. "You look well," he said finally. "Thank you," Sophia replied. "So do you." He glanced around at the school. "This place seems perfect for you. The director said you've implemented some innovative curriculum changes already." Sophia smiled, genuine pride warming her voice. "It's been rewarding work." Another silence, heavy with unspoken words. "Sophia," Ethan began hesitantly, "I've been doing a lot of thinking since you left. About the kind of man I want to be, the example I want to set for my children." She waited, not offering him any easy escape from this uncomfortable confession. "I was wrong," he continued, meeting her gaze directly. "Wrong to hide you away, to prioritize business connections and social standing over what we had. I see that now." Sophia nodded, acknowledging his words without responding. Whatever they had once shared had been irreparably damaged by his choices, his hesitations. "The joint account," Ethan said, changing subjects. "It's still frozen?" "Yes," Sophia confirmed. "I'd like you to have it. All of it. You earned it, working for my family, caring for my children, loving me, even when I didn't deserve it." Sophia shook her head. "I don't want your money, Ethan. I never did." "Then what can I give you? How can I make amends?" Sophia looked toward the playground, where Emma and Noah were laughing as they climbed on the jungle gym. "Let me see the children sometimes. Not as their nanny, but as someone who cares about them, who wants to watch them grow up." Relief washed over Ethan's features. "Of course. They would love that. So would I." A bell rang, signaling the end of recess for the preschool students. Sophia glanced toward the building, where her colleagues were gathering their classes. Ethan nodded, calling the children back. Before they left, he turned to Sophia one last time. "For what it's worth, I would introduce you as my fiancé now. To anyone. Everyone." Sophia offered him a small, sad smile. "I believe you would. But some things, once broken, can't be repaired with words alone." As she watched the Whitmore family drive away, Sophia felt not regret, but a quiet pride. She had stood firm in her worth, refused to be diminished or hidden away. Her mother would have approved. That evening, as Sophia prepared dinner in her modest but comfortable apartment, her phone chimed with a notification. Opening it, she found an alert from her bank. The joint account was no longer frozen. Instead, it had been converted to a trust fund for Emma and Noah's education, with Sophia named as co-trustee. A text message followed. "Not for you, for them. Because you taught me what truly matters. Thank you." Sophia smiled, setting down her phone. She had lost a love, yes, but gained something perhaps more valuable: the unshakable knowledge of her own worth and the courage to demand that others recognize it too. In the end, it wasn't about the money or the status or even the relationship. It was about dignity. And that, Sofia Delgado knew, was something that could never be frozen, never be diminished, and never be taken away. If this story of dignity, self-worth, and standing up for yourself resonated with you, please hit that subscribe button right now. Our channel brings you powerful stories of women who refuse to be diminished, who know their value, and demand the respect they deserve. Subscribe today to never miss our upcoming series about relationships, personal growth, and finding strength in adversity. Join our community of strong, supportive women who understand that true worth comes from within.